Hey everybody, welcome to the Voxology Podcast. Mike and Tim here. So delighted to be with you. Today we are we're going to do a little reflecting and a little prognosticating. Last episode we had Sky on talking about the future of the church in some specific ways. Now we're having Phil Vischer, and then we'll have Caitlin Shast. This is a trio from the Holy Post. They've all been on our program before, so we thought, this would be kind of fun. They're in a really cool podcast lane where they're talking about talking to a lot of cultural and theological leaders, and they are into conversations about politics, and so they each kind of bring something really cool to the table. Sky, as if you listened last episode, you know Sky brings this super thoughtful perspective. Phil Vischer, who we're going to interview today, we had him on to do sort of a history of evangelicalism. That was, I don't know how many episodes ago. So we had him on to do that in a shortened form, but how that history would inform kind of where the church is going. So this is kind of like the history of the evangelical church, and then turning forward into what's that look like and mean. Yeah. But Phil, if you don't know Phil Vischer, he founded and started the VeggieTales. He was the creative guy behind all of that. But he's been on both sides, the light side and the dark side of the Christian kind of entertainment complex. But personally, he takes a very deeply interested view in kind of the forces that have brought us to this sort of present cultural moment.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
And it really is. And we thought it would be super fascinating, particularly if you're under the age of 40 and you're wondering, has it just kind of always been this way? No, it hasn't. And some of, some of what you're seeing today is actually the product of some really bad choices that were made.
Yeah. It shows how relevant this conversation is because you're seeing kind of like the wheels are coming off a little bit right now. And so it's like, how did we get here? And how do you encourage people to take I feel like Christians are guilty often of taking like a two-dimensional view of Christianity. And you'll see that in, theological ideas of like, young earth, or I don't know, different things like that where it's like, well, I'm just going to take everything at face value and deal with it because the Bible is the truth and blah, blah, blah. But it's the same thing with this historical trajectory. And if you don't, for me, it's very helpful to see this trajectory, not only in looking at the current American evangelical construct. It's very helpful for that, obviously, because you can see the path that led to build what is, the current model, but also like theologically, like how that has formed the American theological understanding. Yeah. Like not God.
Right.
These people throughout history that keep manipulating things for whether it's power or.
Well, and a lot of them don't start out that way.
Right.
A lot of us don't start out, saying, "Hey, let's corrupt something." It's more along the lines of, "No, we really need to reinvigorate something." And so,
and you watch those interviews now, and you see that with people at conventions or different things where they'll have exactly how you just worded that. That it's not a nefarious launch pad, but ego and things get in the way.
Yes, and the point of reviewing it, of course, is because we're all potentially guilty of the same dynamics at play in how we are the church in the world. And so we just thought, for the 400th celebration, we would spend some time with similar brothers and sisters who are wrestling with similar questions and get their takes on things. So we're going to be jumping back into Revelation. We also have a interview coming in a couple of episodes about Old Testament violence. An incredible book I want to recommend. But anyway, thank you all for your grace and kindness and participation. Thank you to our supporters for your generosity and allowing us to do the things that we do. We're just blessed as always to be a part of this and to be learning and growing alongside you all. So, ladies and gentlemen, part silly, part profound, but always interesting. Mike, Tim, and Phil Vischer.
Yeah, when the world was my oyster.
What was your favorite song? Best song you've written?
I don't know.
Come on.
Maybe the I Thank God for This Day song from Madame Blueberry.
Okay.
It's so cute. I like cute little songs more than big fun. Although Belly of the Whale and Jonah, that would be another one, but I had a lot of help with that one. That wasn't just
Yeah, I'm wanting a Phil special or a Phil Spector.
Hopefully not Phil Spector.
Where do you put Where Is My Hairbrush on that? Is that top 5?
I put that in Mike's lap because he wrote it.
Nice.
Yeah, not me.
Yeah. All right.
I write songs that teach things. I tend not to write songs that just solely make you laugh.
That are silly songs? You don't write silly songs, Phil?
Well, I wrote the first one, the Water Buffalo song.
Okay.
And then I turned the franchise over to Mike because he was better at purely funny than he was at teaching.
Yeah.
Okay, you worry about being funny. And the next one, the first one he came up with was the Hairbrush song. That was his first attempt at writing a song.
I mean, yes. And you strike gold.
Yeah. And then I said, okay, you do those from now on.
How great.
That'll be what you do.
How great, though, that you have a continued venue to still write music. Your 500th episode song to Billy Joel's We Didn't Start the Fire was, I don't know, one of the more...
Fire. It was fire.
What did I say?
think you started it.
No, I rated it as it was fire.
Oh, yeah.
Like emojis.
That was better.
Fire emojis.
That was better than Tim's song, We Didn't Start the Furor.
Oh.
So that was no good.
But also true.
Yeah, that's...
Hopefully.
So... Ladies
Is it just
and gentlemen,
the three of us, or is Sky coming?
No, we're doing you, Sky, and Caitlin separately, bro.
No way.
Yeah,
oh my!
You're
God.
not.
Okay,
listen,
so how much?
You're not a unit. You are individual personalities.
I thought it was a panel. I thought I could just say, I don't know, Sky. What do you think?
Yeah, no,
because I do that all the time. That's my thing. That's my jam.
Yeah, not anymore, buddy.
It's my get out of jail free card. I don't know, Sky. What do you think?
Yeah. Sky will have an opinion. Absolutely. He did
You're
great.
Messing with me.
He did great. No, we already interviewed him. And
you did?
Yeah.
Oh, what did he say?
Well,
tell me what he said, because that's what I think.
Multiple times he said, I wish Phil were here, because I would ask him.
Yeah, right. Things Sky has never said, unless it was a question about VeggieTales.
Yes, well, or the Christian industrial complex that has been ridden multiple times by one Phil Vischer.
That's true.
Up and down.
That's true. I do have inside experience with the industrial complex.
Yes.
I've been there. I've done that. Tim, I'm thinking you just came in from the wharf.
It's true.
Dude, how great would he be as a fisherman or a lumberjack?
Yeah. Like the fish sticks commercials.
Yes.
You could sell. Yeah. You could move a lot of
We've been
fish
talking
sticks.
about making our own commercials for nothing.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I like
those
that.
Those are fun. They don't really drive revenue, but they're fun.
It'd be strictly for fun.
Yeah.
Strictly for fun. That's what this podcast is here for.
That's right.
Strictly for fun.
Somebody commented on Facebook on the episode with Gombas from last week, and they referred to him as low TG. So these things do catch and go.
Yeah. We were talking about Gombas is approaching middle age and just all the tune-ups that have to take place.
Yeah, right.
And we asked him if he were experiencing fatigue or lack of passion. And he answered by giving a 15-minute digression on the nature of the human soul in Paul's writings.
Oh, man. Why am I not surprised?
Yes.
See, I just don't, as I get older, I just don't feel like I'm starting enough fights anymore.
Well, Phil, luckily you have Twitter for that. It's great.
It's not a very manly form of brawling.
You were quiet for, I would say, a good month. And and then all of a sudden there's just a flurry of, I mean, what do we call them? Phil Baits, Phil Lures, Phil Burts. What are those?
Phil Burts.
Phil terrible mistakes.
All of a sudden.
They're called Phil should know better by now.
Well, I've tried. I've texted, and Phil can attest to this. Hey, Phil, are you lonely today?
How about you just take it down a notch?
Are you not getting enough attention today, Phil?
How about
from people who don't like you?
Step away from the phone, Phil. Step away from the phone. Put it down. Let's see the phone on the ground in front of you. Hands up.
Yep. Phil, walk away.
Take a step back. Yeah.
Dallas Willard famously had a spiritual discipline that Sky referred to. Of course he did.
Oh, great.
Of not having to have the last word. And Phil, how do you feel about that? Exactly. All right. Spiritual disciplines.
It means they won. It means they won. Or at least they think they did.
Was God serious about not having the last word?
God has the last word, and I am his representative.
Oh, yes.
Therefore,
he has the last word through me.
So let me ask you a question.
I am his agent of judgment. When do I know we've begun?
We started 6 minutes
this is all going to be in there. So,
how long is this supposed to be? How long is this supposed to be?
I don't know. What was your appointment?
What's my commitment? What's my time commitment?
As long as it takes, Phil. So, in your case, maybe a couple hours. That's your time commitment. Phil, we will not keep you. When did we start? 12:30. So we're 6 minutes in. We will keep you no later than 1:30, but hopefully sooner than that.
Okay. Are these different episodes? Or are you going to cut this all together?
No, they're different.
These are different episodes? Oh, my gosh.
Listen, listen, if you have the chance to sit down with the Trinity as a collective or the Father, Son, and Spirit separately, I say you do Father, Son, and Spirit separately.
But then, which one am I? Am I the Son or am I the Father? I'm the oldest. Does that make me the Father?
I kind of think you're the Spirit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because he flits about. Yeah. No one can predict.
Yep, exactly right.
what he will tweet next.
Caitlin is utterly the father of the whole show. And Sky is the son who just knows he's getting slaughtered, but is willing for the joy set before him.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
So we're doing this separately, Phil, because what better way to celebrate the number of episodes that equals to my weight than to have 4 heavyweights of 100 pounds each on the show. So
are you counting Tim as one of those? Who's the fourth?
Yeah,
okay.
no, Phil.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure Tim would be here even if it wasn't the 400th
You never know.
Yeah, but here's the thing that's surprising about Tim. Tim likes the darker holidays. Tim is not a celebrator of life. Tim is not skipping buoyantly through the world.
He likes Halloween and then that week that celebrates the Black Plague in Europe.
Yes, and then the Day of the Dead is another favorite of his.
The Day of the Dead, yeah, and then the day after that, which is the Day of They're Still Dead.
Yes, and then Boxing Day. He loves Boxing Day.
Boxing Day, because people hit each other.
See?
Well, better than Unboxing Day.
You were just lamenting fighting. This is how you get back in.
Unboxing Day is when Amazon celebrates how much of your money they've taken yet again.
Exactly. But Tim has struck a celebratory tone towards big episode numbers in the Voxology podcast. Meaning he's been saying for weeks, hey, our 400th episode is coming up. And I'm saying, okay, I'm going on 8 years. There's nothing to celebrate anymore other than the great people that we've gotten involved with, but
Wow.
But Tim,
that's exactly what Jesus would say.
Absolutely. But Tim, he kept saying, no, we're got to do something special. And so we interviewed Sky for episode 200 on the future of the church. And he said, what if
you didn't know me yet. I was just a twinkle in your eye.
What you were is that you were a haunting voice that provided a soundtrack to my deconstruction.
To your life. Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I lost my hair, and I sang Mike's song, and I lamented.
Okay.
And then I fell in love with the chocolate bunnies.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't know where we are anymore.
So I've lived that. I've lived this. What was it? Was it the chocolate bunnies? There's an episode about chocolate bunnies, right? Yeah.
The bunny. VeggieTales retrospective.
Well, all that is to say,
my mom, my dad, just a bunny.
That's
now
it.
I have to sing the whole song.
I know,
and
it's
then,
so good.
And when I'm done with it, I'll feel like we're probably done, and I'll just turn off my camera. Goodbye. Good night, folks. Drive safe.
Yes, you'll be here. No, Phil, we actually love you as your own self, separate from Bob and Larry, separate from Phil and Caitlin and Christian. We think you're pretty rad. One of the things that you've done some really good work on, you came in and talked about kind of the history of evangelicalism on one of our episodes, and it was super fascinating. And you've spent some time talking about kind of what you see as a giant split happening among evangelicals today. And I wondered if you would just spend a little time kind of catching us up on your thoughts around what you see happening currently, because then I'd love to project that a bit into the future to say, okay, what's that mean for the future of this sucker? Are there no other options than just getting more and more polarized around new positions, or what? So general lead-in is you've done great work on the history of evangelicalism. You see it fracturing along specific lines. I'd love for you to speak to those and kind of describe what you see are the polarities, and then let's press into the future on
fault lines. We're going to call this segment Phil's Fishers.
Oh,
Phil Vischer.
Or Phil's Vissers. Like fishers, like...
Or Ville's Fishers.
Ville's Fishers.
Even better.
There it is.
Yes.
Yeah. That's great. Okay. I don't know that I see... Well, fracturing, fissuring... there's some of that, but it's because things were glommed together that didn't really belong together. There was an attempt to put... oil and water together, hoping to have more impact when you ignited it politically.
Oh, that's so good. What was the oil in the water?
Thank you. It's hard to describe specifically. I would probably say roughly Northern evangelicalism of the neo-evangelical Carl Henry, Billy Graham, Harold Ockenga variety.
Okay.
And Southern evangelicalism of the more Southern fundamentalist variety of the, Jones family, BJU, parts
That's
of
Bob
the
Jones. I want to be very clear. That is Bob Jones University. Let's refer to it as such.
Yes, thank you, Mike. Now everyone's thinking about that. No one was thinking about it.
False.
And now everyone is thinking about it.
False. No one gets to say BJU and whatever. Tim, be honest right now. Be honest.
No way.
Nope. He's just selling fish sticks in his mind. Always selling the fish sticks. So here's the deal, and this is what I tried to go through in my little video. You've got the major splits in American Protestantism. We were generally kind of in agreement on most big things up until about 1910, 1915. And then, when modernist theology came in first at Union Seminary in 1875, when they hired a modernist professor for the first time who gave a speech about needing to move away from the commitments to supernaturalism and the commitments to miracles, and it sparked a war in Presbyterianism that split initially. Princeton was going to stay Orthodox and Union was going to become modern. And then there was a war at Princeton Seminary, and then it split the seminary, and then it launched it split the whole denomination. And then we had the modernist fundamentalist controversy where everyone said, I'm a fundamentalist. And they say, no, you're a hillbilly. That's what fundamentalists are, hillbillies. And then we had the Scopes Monkey trial. And the fundamentalists said, we're going to get really organized and get a really smart guy, William Jennings Bryan, to win on our behalf. He is our champion. He is our Donald Trump. He will lead us out from to the promised land, and we will be respected again because we have one of America's most popular politicians and thinkers who is going to defend us in the court of public opinion. And he won the case, and he failed the war, lost the war, was roundly made fun of, and fundamentalism started to look backwards and retrograde and not the future. And fundamentalists started rounding up the wagons and then saying, all right, we can't trust the rest of the country anymore. We can't trust the seminaries. We can't trust the colleges. We can't trust the media. We have to make all our own stuff. Have to make all of our own colleges, all our own seminaries, all our own media. We'll make Bible conferences because we don't trust what the mainline guys are doing. We'll launch radio shows so we can keep preserving the heritage of our faith. Okay, and then we were pretty much my camp, which was very much in the fundamentalist camp. We're pretty much all in agreement on that, except that some people, particularly of the Bob Jones variety, wanted to go even further. And this is something I've just learned recently. There were separatist fundamentalists, which were, do not associate with the modernists. Do not associate with people that have liberal theology. And then there were what's called double separatists.
What?
And this, as if just level one separatism wasn't enough.
No.
There's level two separatism. And level two separatism is not only do we not associate with the liberal theologians, we don't associate with conservatives who do associate with liberal theologians. And this is the split between the Jones family and Billy Graham. Because Billy Graham was willing to work with mainline Christians in his crusades. And this is where Bob Jones Jr. in the 1960s said Billy Graham is doing more damage to the cause of Jesus Christ than any other person on earth. Literally what he said about Billy Graham, doing more to damage the cause of Jesus Christ than any other person on earth. Okay, that showed that there were two distinct camps.
Hold on, that sounds like triple separatism at that point. But okay, go ahead. Okay. All right,
double.
I'm sorry.
We haven't reached triple yet. Okay. I'm still working on it in the lab.
Okay,
but
perfect.
It's unstable. It's like holding plasma when you're trying to do nuclear fusion.
Okay.
Fusion. Yeah, it's unstable in the lab.
Phil Fission.
There it is.
Go ahead.
Phil Fission. So then, and that's the neo-evangelical movement. That's Billy Graham saying, no, we're not going to be that separatist, and we're not going to be anti-intellectual. We're not going to have to throw away all science and throw away all higher learning because we associate it with either communists or liberals or Marxists or whatever. We're going to try to stay engaged with a healthy life of the mind, and we're going to try to stay engaged with the world. So we started the National Association of Evangelicals, and we started World Relief, which was originally called War Relief, because World War II was happening, and fundamentalists had pulled back so far inside themselves that they didn't really care what was happening in Europe and all the people that needed our help. So all those things started as part of the neo-evangelical movement to kind of rescue it from how separatist fundamentalism, particularly in the South, had become.
Yeah. Yep.
And guys like then Jerry Falwell come along in the 50s and say, politics is anathema. We want nothing to do with it. Our focus is on getting people to heaven because we have our Scofield Bibles, and our Scofield Bibles tell us the rapture is imminent, and the only thing that matters is preparing people, getting them in the lifeboats because the ship is sinking. Don't polish the brass on the Titanic.
Yeah.
Don't play music on the Titanic.
Yeah.
Don't even think about Titanical things.
Yeah.
We need to get everybody into the lifeboats because the Titanic is going down and Jesus is about to come back. And it's time. Yeah, we got to get off the boat.
Man, their octaves really went up at that point.
Water was cold.
That's
crazy.
They felt, Mike.
Yes, Phil. What did they feel, Phil?
They felt deeply about this.
Yeah.
Deeply.
Yeah.
Deeply. So you had the Southern fundamentalists who were really doubly isolating at this point. And then you had the Northern neo-evangelicals who were starting Fuller Seminary and Gordon Conwell putting that together and trying to create a new lane, a third way.
Yes.
They described it as a third way, Mike. Third way,
they did.
Which is, we're not giving up on Orthodox theology like the modernists have, but we're not giving up on the world like the separatist fundamentalists have.
Yep.
We're making a middle way where we hold to Orthodox theology and we hold to a love of the world and engagement with the world.
Yeah.
Okay?
And that's what we were nurtured in. The three of us were nurtured in that.
Yes.
Kind of.
We were.
Yeah.
We were suckled at the teat of neo-evangelicalism, Mike.
Yeah. Well, that's what I
There's a picture.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. It's like the founding of Rome with the wolf of Romulus.
Oh boy, there's a callback. There's a callback. It's a very famous
callback to Rome.
Very famous painting, statue,
Romulans
picture. Yes, nice way to turn that weird. Star Trek.
So, are we done? Good night, everyone. No, we're not done yet.
That was impressive. That was impressive.
Thank you.
Phil.
So you've got.
Too bad none of this is recording.
Sorry.
We just lost.
I'll hit it right now.
You got to do that again. You got to do that again.
I'm pretty sure I can do it again. So you got three streams at this point. You've got the modernists.
Don't cross the streams.
Who are saying it's all about the world. It's all about the world. Stop thinking about conversion. Stop thinking about proselytizing. Stop thinking about virgin births and unscientific sounding stories. It's all about creating utopia on earth through progressivism.
Yeah, social activism. Yep.
Yeah, and which came out of postmillennialism, but then they kind of threw away the notion that there was a Jesus that was going to come back, and let's just make utopia. We don't need Jesus for utopia. Mm-hmm. Let's just worry about utopia. And then you had the separatists, particularly the Southern fundamentalists, who said, "Oh no, the world's gone in like an instant. It's gone like probably next Wednesday. It's gone." Right. And all those progressives are really messing with our stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
there's no time to draw rows on the Titanic.
Yeah, they want black people to vote. They want, to integrate schools. They want to give money to people for free who might not be working. They just want all this stuff that we don't go for that anymore because it's probably Marxist. I don't know if you've ever heard anyone say, what you're trying to do is probably Marxist, so you should probably stop.
I tell my wife that.
They were saying that in the 1920s, which is funny when you start to dive into the history. Conservative fundamentalists like William Bell Riley, W.B. Riley from Minneapolis, were literally saying the Bolsheviks are taking over the church. We have to resist the Bolshevik influence.
That's Bolshevik.
Good.
Sorry.
I keep looking. You typed your name as Nick Cage.
I typed my name, period.
Yeah. And I keep looking at you and then seeing Nick, and then I almost say it. Say it.
No,
even though
I'd answer.
I know
I'd answer
that's
to that.
not your name.
Con Air, one of my greatest on-screen performances.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Also the name of the clippers that I use. When I can't find my hairbrush.
Mr. Cage, I'm trying to stay focused here.
I know. It's such a reversal. It's such a reversal. Phil is the interviewee, and he hardly knows how to handle this.
With my groove.
I know. I'm
trying
sorry.
to do something valuable for your audience.
Yeah.
And you're messing with my groove.
I know. I'm so sorry. Go ahead. You're doing great.
Messed with the Emperor's groove.
Yep. There it is. There it is.
Okay. So you got three streams. You've got the modernist stream that wants utopia on earth, but has kind of given up on redemptive progress through Jesus.
In a salvific sort of way.
In a salvific way. You've got the Southern fundamentalist stream that has given up on the earth entirely. Yeah. It's going to burn probably Tuesday. Yeah. Let's get out of here.
Yep.
And then you've got the middle stream, the neo-evangelical stream, which is saying, no, guys, we can do both. Yeah. We can still have a view of progress that's redemptive in nature through the blood of Jesus. We can care about the world, and we can hold to orthodoxy. You're not a Marxist just because you care about the poor. Okay. Then we hit the 60s.
Yes,
and of course,
we did.
All heck breaks loose. And we've got women who want to have jobs and wear pants and have sex without getting pregnant. Terrible, terrible things are happening with the women. And then we've got the African Americans who want to vote, who want to wear pants, who want to do all the things that, that everyone does. And that's really upsetting to some people. And so some of the more separatist Southern fundamentalists, like Jerry Falwell, who had a TV show at the time and interviewed George Wallace on his TV show to promote segregation before he decided, no, maybe I shouldn't be a segregationist. Maybe that's not good for my national brand. Maybe I should make a little swing on that. But you had a lot of Southern fundamentalists, particularly Bob Jones, which didn't let the first African-American student attend Bob Jones University until 1971. And even then, they couldn't attend if they were single because they might date a white girl or a white boy. And that's the end of the God-given natural order if that happened. So you had a lot of pushback from Southern fundamentalists on the civil rights movement and on the women's movement. Northern evangelicals were concerned about some of what they saw as the excess of the women's liberation movement and feminism, but they were not associated with the Southern fundamentalists on the racial issues. So guys like Jerry Falwell finally said, this has gone too far. We separatists need to unseparate. We've been too separated. And I don't know if you've ever heard too. Yeah, you're too separated. Yep. Get over here.
Yep.
Get over. We can't have a whole pillow in between us in bed.
That's right. I'm not going there, but yes, keep going.
We need to at least touch elbows.
This episode like almost PG-13.
Yeah, almost PG-13.
She's a post-millennial.
Tim Stafford, have you ever heard anyone say the following words? We're losing our country.
No.
Oh,
yes,
no,
many times.
Wrong.
That's the first time I've heard that. That's the first time we've heard that.
Nicolas Cage, have you ever heard anyone say?
I said it this morning before coffee.
So this was the view where Southern evangelicals decided they needed to become politically active again.
Because we're losing our country.
We're losing our country.
Got
to
it.
The feminists, to the communists, and to the desegregationists who want to force Bob Jones to admit all races and maybe even let them date have coffee together.
Is this 70s, 80s at this point?
This is, going early 70s. Early 70s. And then, bada boom, bada bing, you get Roe v. Wade, and suddenly abortion rates take off. And that's like, okay, America is going to hell in a handbag. Not only are they desegregating our schools, not only are women taking the pill and just having sex with no intentions of procreating, but now we have whatever the other one. Oh, yeah, now we have abortion, which is even worse. Abortion is even worse. So we have to re-engage. And it was Southern fundamentalists like Jerry Falwell, Pat Robertson, some of those guys that led the effort to everybody, we need to start voting. And we need to, that Jerry Falwell famously said, we have three goals as pastors going forward. Get them saved, get them baptized, get them registered to vote. Those were our three goals as pastors.
That sounds like the Great Commission to me.
Yeah, that's what Jesus said.
Yeah,
that's what Jesus said. Now, typically, you would hear things like that in the black church, where you had a minority group that had been legitimately disenfranchised.
Totally.
So the Get Out the Vote movement in black churches had a very noble history and a very noble cause of, we are a group that has been disenfranchised, that had been sidelined from the democratic process in America. Let's use churches as part of the solution to fixing that. What Jerry Falwell was doing was somewhat different in saying, we sidelined ourselves because we decided Jesus was about to come back so that nothing else mattered. And now things are happening that we don't like, partly involving the civil rights movement, but abortion also in there. We'll throw that in there. And we discovered very soon, hey, that sells a lot better in the North than the oppose integration movement.
Yeah.
So if we want if we want to take back America, have you ever heard anyone say that? We need to take back America?
Yeah, my waiter said that the other day when I asked him to take back a steak. And he said, I want to take back America.
Wow.
Okay, but go ahead.
You must have been at Waffle House, I'm thinking.
Oh, steaks at Waffle House are incredible.
Yeah, they're so good.
They're so fresh.
They really know how to... Yeah. Anywho, so you have a re-energized Southern fundamentalist movement that says we are going to be politically active. We need issues that sell in the North as well as the South. So race probably isn't the issue. Abortion is probably the issue. And there was legitimate concern about, some people have painted the concern about abortion as being completely false. Like, we didn't care. We know that race won't sell in the North. And that's not true. There was legitimate concern about abortion, particularly when Francis Schaeffer did his film series on, the culture of death that was developing in the West, and abortion and euthanasia were the two big things that he singled out as evidence that we were now promoting a culture of death. So a lot of people, and this is where I was in high school, when that film series came out, and started coming to like our church in Muscatine, Iowa. And then we moved up here, and even our church in Wheaton, Illinois was showing James Dobson film series, about how America was going to hell in a handbag and we needed to do something about it. And so this, right around 1980, right around the time of Ronald J. Reagan, I don't know what his middle name is, we started putting together a new coalition because family values. We forgot about family values. The Democrats don't care about family values. We thought Jimmy Carter would care because he teaches Sunday school, but he doesn't because he's a Democrat. So from here on out, it's Republican all the way. It's Ronald Reagan, even though he's divorced and his wife does seances in the White House. We'll overlook that because he likes jelly beans, and jelly beans are all American, and he hates communists and liberals, and he'll help with family values.
That's Bolshevik.
Do you know what the great thing about the phrase family values is?
What?
It means whatever you think it means.
That's very true.
It's whatever you consider family values is what it means. Yeah. And so a politician can stand up and say, I'm pro family values, and you say, I'm with him. I'm with that guy. Yeah. I think that means we like the oil industry, right? Oh, totally. That totally means we like the oil industry. That's totally a family value from the Bible, to like the oil industry and assault rifles, weapons. Yeah. So anyway, so we had a merging, kind of a re-merging, but for cultural political reasons, not for theological or even evangelical reasons. That's right. We had a re-merging of Northern evangelicalism and Southern fundamentalism into a new voting bloc that we called the religious right.
Yeah, that's good.
And that carried from 1980 through about 2000 towards 2010. I think when Obama was elected, people got a little confused. And they couldn't tell if this is like, is this worse than it was in the 70s? Or the younger evangelicals were kind of saying, hey, I kind of like this guy. I'm not sure I'm picking up an evil vibe with this guy. Yeah. So you had younger evangelicals that were looking at the older evangelicals, like James Dobson, who said the morning after the election where Obama won, said that Obama winning the presidency was for him like being hit in the back of the head with a hammer. It was so stunning, so shocking that could happen in America. It was like being hit in the back of the head with a hammer. And a lot of younger evangelical kids said, I don't know if I see it that way. Yeah. I don't know. I don't feel like I got hit in the back of the head.
Okay,
their octaves went up. Because they had passion about it.
Or your octave could go down.
Yeah.
What's even happening?
That's the boomer. That's the boomer voice.
Not sure why that would happen. And that started to show that this group that had been put together in the 80s and 90s wasn't really very cohesive. Yeah. And abortion was really the only thing that was holding them together. So, and that's why if you question the group cohesion, the first thing that's usually thrown at you is, you don't care about abortion, do you?
That's right.
You don't care about abortion.
Yeah.
Well, no, I care about abortion, but there's about 17 other issues that are affecting people's well-being and human flourishing on Earth. And I don't think I can ignore the other 16 because this guy, says he cares about abortion.
Right.
So there was a generational thing, where a younger generation, particularly of Northern evangelicals and kids who went to Wheaton and went to Fuller and went to, more and more went to Biola or Gordon Conwell, or didn't go to Christian school at all, just grew up in in kind of suburban Northern evangelicalism. So white evangelicalism, but not Southern separatist evangelicalism.
Man, we need longer titles.
Yeah, I'm working on that. Well, there are also the Southern separatist premillennial dispensational evangelicals.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Hey, I got something out of the fish stick merchant. That's good. So you start to see the coalition breaking down. And that wasn't a theological issue.
Yeah.
It was a political, cultural issue. And the idea that we're going to lose political, cultural ground that we've been fighting for 20, 30 years because these young whippersnappers don't value the same things we value, don't read the culture the same way. That basically we got a generation of kids now, and some of them are probably 30, 35, 40 that aren't afraid of the culture. And that's freaking out the older generation.
Yeah.
Because being afraid of the culture was what brought us all together.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah. So what we're seeing now is, what do you mean you're not scared of what's happening? What do you mean you don't think Christians are being persecuted? What do you mean you don't think the government is coming for your children? Or the LGBT movement is coming for your children. Of course they're coming for our children. And here's a quote of one way over here on the extreme that said something that kind of sounds like we're coming for your children. So I've got receipts. I'm bringing receipts. We've been saying they're coming for our children since the 1920s.
Yeah.
The Darwinists were the first ones who were coming for our children, and then the modernists. And
and then the Bolsheviks.
The Bolsheviks.
Yeah.
Bolshevik.
Yeah.
So where we are now, it's not really that evangelicalism is coming apart. It's that we're realizing what was glommed together was never cohesive.
Yeah, that's good, Phil.
And we've got a younger generation that sees no need to keep it together.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't have any need to be in partnership with Bob Jones III, who's 90 years old and still cranky. I don't feel any need to be in partnership with fundamentalist separatist Baptists or that wing of the SBC.
Yeah.
And I'm more concerned about my friends that feel shunned by the church for whatever reason. They're minorities, they're sexual minorities, gender minorities, whatever. There's much more compassion in that generation, much more focus on, I think we're supposed to love people, and there's a legitimate argument to be made. What does that look like in culture? What does it look like to love people? Does it look like accepting anything that they say about anything? Well, no, it doesn't. That's not, but the younger generation wants to wrestle with that. Mm-hmm. And the older generation is carrying a set of assumptions that were forged in 1980, and saying, what do you mean these don't work for you anymore? This is what it's always been. Like, no, it's what it's been since 1980. So that's where we are.
So some of what we would call deconstruction would just fall under, that was great, by the way.
Thank you. I was waiting for you to say that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I mean, I'm going to say it now. I'm going to say it in a few minutes.
And forever. Now and forever.
But what we group under the phrase deconstruction is some of that jettisoning of the cultural assumptions that really undergirded our posture for the last 30 or 40 years.
Deconstruction, I think it was Mike Erre who once said deconstruction is just another word for discipleship.
Oh, come on.
I think you said that.
No, I was probably the fish stick guy, and I stole it.
And I'm not saying that because I just feel like that would make people cranky with me on Twitter. So I'm not saying that. I'm just quoting you saying
nice.
that. So
nice.
People can get cranky with you. For me, deconstruction is realizing that you have a cultural inheritance in your Christianity.
Yeah, embedded in, you bet.
Embedded in,
Yeah.
And you just start to look at the pieces and say, okay, biblical or cultural? Biblical or cultural? Biblical or cultural?
Yeah.
And then sometimes you go too far.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you put out biblical stuff and like, oops, I'm sorry, that actually is biblical, pull that back in. And sometimes you just, it rattles you so much that you just keep throwing stuff out and then you find yourself, completely on the, my brother is brilliant, super, super smart, grew up in, Midwest, small town evangelicalism, just like me, with all of the cultural baggage, all of the cultural inheritance, all of the cultural biases. Went off to college and decided he just didn't buy any of it anymore. Chucked the whole thing in college. Then ended up at Harvard in law school and started going to an Episcopal church while he was, at Harvard, and wandered his way back into his faith through a completely different door. And sometimes that's what deconstruction looks like. Yeah. You're going to end up back in your faith, but it might be in a different tradition. It might be, I have friends who are now Greek Orthodox. I have a lot of friends who are now Anglican, that all grew up kind of Midwestern evangelicalism. And sometimes you can go too far, and sometimes you do actually lose orthodoxy on that journey. But I don't think you resent people the journey or try to stop them from journeying for fear that at certain points on their journey, and we have the same fear with our kids.
Right.
Totally. I can't let them question, or their journey may take them through heterodoxy.
Right.
Well, yeah, that's probably true. And if you're thinking, I think all of our journeys at some point, we find ourselves outside of orthodoxy and then reconsidering and coming back in. So that's one of the big, but it gets more frightening for the older generation when it threatens cultural power. So if they start deconstructing, if they start rethinking, they might not be a reliable part of our voting bloc. And if they're not a reliable part of our voting bloc, do you know what we're going to lose? We're going to lose our country.
Yeah.
We're going to lose our country.
Yeah. And
that's what we're seeing a lot. A lot of the warfare, a lot of the animosity today isn't about the church. It's about America. And it's playing out in the church. Which kind of shows, again, as we've pointed out a lot, the idolatry that we can have over politics and over, nationalism. Like, what's more important to you, Jesus, the church, or America? And like, well, we need America so that Jesus can do what Jesus wants to do. But if we lose America, we've lost.
Thanks,
everything.
Obama.
Yeah. So good. Fish stick. So good.
Fish stick. All right. What was the question? What question am I answering? Because I don't remember.
The question now is, all right, that is a really helpful summary of kind of where we see ourselves now. Because it is a summary. I mean, goodness, you covered 100 years.
Thank you.
And it's great that we get an eyewitness account. That's the thing that's so great.
Yeah. I was there for all of it.
Yes, exactly. Where do you see the church headed in America? I mean, I know it's a silly question,
Define your term.
No, I want you to answer that. Based on current trends, where does this go? And then the follow-up question is going to be, what habits do we need to cultivate so that our kids have and your grandkids have something in 20 years, that is vibrant and semi-Christ-like.
Yeah. Yeah. Where is the church going in 20 years? South.
Of
Not
the border?
in the sense, it's just I like to the southern hemisphere.
Yeah. That's largely true. That's actually happening.
Yeah. That's where the church is going.
Yeah.
The next 20 years is largely to the southern hemisphere. I would want to separate out churches, and some people get mad when you do that. Like, there's only one church. There's only one church. Well, yeah, okay, yeah, but also there's.
But we're asking you. We're not asking. We're not asking.
Yeah,
we're not asking. Egghead 370426420.
but he's going to answer nonetheless.
Totally.
He does not wait to be asked.
That is so true.
He just answers.
Yeah.
Like what do the next 20 years look like for the African American church?
Right.
You know, that's a valid question. What do the next 20 years look like for the Asian American church, for the Latino Pentecostal church in America? You know, which is, hey, guess what? That one's growing. That one is actually growing. So the church in America probably looks more brown, probably looks more Pentecostal charismatic. Because if you can get the same thing you get out of church from a Tony Robbins book, you know, or just the power of positive thinking, or, you know, life hacking, or just eating the right greens in the morning, if you get the same results as going to your church, it becomes kind of hard to justify continuing to go to your church. And so you see the most enthusiasm actually for the churches that have the most supernaturalism. You know, that actually believe that there's stuff behind the curtain and we can access it. You know, and obviously sometimes that goes too far, and then you've got hundreds of people barking in Toronto, and, you know, and it gets a little crazy, but that's still the hunger. You know, the hunger, I don't want to live in a disenchanted world.
Yeah.
And if the world your church is painting is largely disenchanted, you know, it's really just about arguing about theology. That's really what church is about.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, on TV, they argue about sports. Here we argue about Calvin. It's just, that's what church is. Like, no, that's not very inspiring to me. Like, unless you really love arguing, which is why a lot of Christian Twitter is the guys who love arguing. I mean, the Mark Driscoll kind of guys.
No, we call him Phil Driscoll in our circles.
Phil Driscoll. Who was he? Was he the trumpet player?
He was the stepbrother. They became best friends when they made bunk beds.
You're just messing with me. So future of the church.
Well, I love that. So I totally agree. More brown. I love that insight into more supernatural focused.
And you know, so the downside there is that things can get squirrely real quick.
Always downsides to all of it. All of it.
Yeah, things can get squirrely real quick. Suburban evangelicalism is the reason Republicans are struggling at the polls when they start to take strong positions against things. You know, particularly suburban women evangelicals. They're just a different group than particularly rural male evangelicals. Very, very different group.
That's fact.
So, you know, rural America is shrinking. Rural churches are shrinking.
Tim speaks for that. That's why we have him co-host.
Yeah, that's fantastic. What's growing, though, culture war churches
are booming.
Yeah. So supernaturalist churches are growing, and culture war churches are growing for different reasons, but deep hunger, you know, or deep fear. Culture war churches grow because we are afraid of demographic
Sounds
change.
like a Harry Potter plot.
Happening. I need more out of you, Death Eater.
Well, that's it.
So yeah, there are things that will make a church grow, like the guy, you know, in Michigan whose church grew tenfold because he started beginning every sermon with a brief rant against progressives. And it funded a new building. It literally, over a 5-year period, funded a new building.
Amazing.
I love it.
By ranting about progressives. So you just take a little Tucker Carlson, and we got a little, you know, Billy Graham, and now add a little Tucker Carlson. And you realize that Tucker Carlson will get you a new building faster than Billy Graham will get you a new building.
Yeah.
So there's that part of it, but then there's still the people with the deep longing to have, you know, to believe that there's a God who can interact with me in my daily life.
Yeah.
You know, and is not just a concept in a book that I can read about. And those churches are growing also. And the ones where we do this because we've always done this, and there's not a whole lot of meaning behind it anymore.
Yep.
Those are now gyms and rec centers.
Oh, so true. So true. What do you think are the habits that need to be embodied and cultivated specific to this day and age to be faithful?
There's a term. I'm so thankful that you gave me these questions in advance.
Why would we do that?
I could prepare.
We don't want prepared, Phil.
There's a concept, and I think I'm saying it right, and this is why I'm mad that you didn't give me questions in advance, because I'm not sure I'm saying it right.
That will never happen.
Epistemic humility.
Yeah, that you actually said it correctly.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Which is the humility to say, I might not be correct about this. I have a set of beliefs. Some of them I came up with on my own. Some of them I inherited. Some of them I really feel like I've found deeply rooted in Scripture. But I am not 100% certain I've got any of them right.
Yeah.
And so when my kids interact with me about truth claims, I come into the conversation allowing their doubt.
Yeah, that's great.
And allowing them, and it's so nerve-wracking to allow your kids to rethink a belief.
Yeah.
It is just, it's frightening.
Yeah.
But to have the humility to say, you know what? They, like me, are on a journey with their Creator. Mm-hmm. And I can trust that their Creator has a plan for them. And if I let them, so you have to let them out of the house, which means quite literally, maybe letting them out of the church, letting them out of, what you consider the faith tradition they should be in.
Yeah.
And then letting them make their way, ask their questions, and then trusting and praying that they find their way back, to the old roads, to the old, as Andrew Peterson would say, to lash themselves to the old ancient mast.
Oh, wow.
In the middle of the storm.
Wow. Tim does that when it rains.
Yeah, right. Because otherwise the fish sticks get away. When you've just caught a huge haul of fish sticks.
That's right.
Afraid they're going to go.
Let me tell you, what's the fishing show that's dangerous? Dangerous fish show.
Like fatal.
What is that?
Fatal haul.
Deadliest catch. No, you're right. Fatal haul. That was it. Deadliest catch or fatal haul.
Fatal haul. Yeah. Which is also
that dangerous fish show? What's it called?
What's that dangerous fish show?
Deadly haul. Yeah. Tim would be so good on Deadliest Catch. Fish stick addiction. Addition.
Just on a boat, just eating too many fish sticks. He won't stop. He's addicted.
Can I get back to the topic at hand?
When Phil Vischer is the one trying to stay on topic.
We're in danger.
Can I get back to the topic? I get back to the topic?
Yes. Yes, Phil.
There was a movement in the mid-20th century in much of the American church that settled very heavily on the notion of an imminent rapture.
Right.
That was one of the key takeaways from Darby and premillennial dispensationalism, that not only is Jesus coming back ahead of the millennium, but he could come back. There is nothing that has to happen before he could come back.
Yeah.
There's nothing that has to happen before Jesus could come back, which means he could come back tonight.
Right now.
He could come back right now. No, you're wrong, because he didn't. But he could come back tonight.
In a way where I'd be okay him catching
And so
me
here's
doing this.
here is one of the impacts of that. Is you become terrified about someone you love not being ready.
Oh, man, yeah.
And being left behind. Have you heard that phrase? Tim, have you ever heard the phrase left behind?
Growing pains.
Yeah, before.
That was my dating life, actually.
and if you have a terror about an imminent rapture.
Totally.
The idea of letting your children wander out of the house to reconsider some things, trusting that they'll wander in, is just, it's unacceptable.
Totally.
So you've got to lock the doors. Yeah. I mean, if Jesus could come back in 30 minutes, what do? You pull your kids inside the house, you lock the doors, and you make sure everyone has confessed all of their sin, so we're all up to date, we're all clean, and then you just hug each other and wait. And make sure you don't turn on the TV, because something could come on that might make one of you sin.
A lot of families do that during Y2K. Our church had a big Y2K scare. And then those people never came back to us. Maybe
thing.
they did know something that we didn't know.
I did Y2KFC.
So, that's so good.
Anyway.
And that's why this is the 400th episode now? Can I pull it all together?
Oh, yeah. The circle of life.
Yeah, circle of life. So that fear that came from something that was a novel theological invention in about 1830 and didn't really exist as a motivator before then, drove us to build cages around, epistemic humility. Like you have to be certain.
Yeah.
Because it's everything is at stake right now. Yeah. Everything is at stake all of the time. And what you don't see historically, you don't see that in followers of Jesus. You don't see that semi-constant state of panic in followers of Jesus, in monks, in nuns that are just doing the good work of working with the poor, of translating the scriptures, of writing them over and over again. And when it takes a year to make one copy of the Bible, why would anyone do that if Jesus might come back in a half an hour and you had a sinful thought in the middle of recopying, Jude 1?
Song of Songs was particularly troublesome.
Song of Songs, well, you had to copy that with your eyes closed.
Yes.
That was tricky.
Yes, we're gonna call this episode Phyllis Interruptus.
Oh boy, you've outdone yourself.
I've been sitting on that one for the last 2 minutes.
You've outdone yourself.
I didn't listen to anything else you had said once I saw it.
So that's good. That's good, because I'm going to ask you some follow-up questions, and you're going to look
Pop quiz,
silly.
hotshot.
Epistemic humility. First of all,
yeah, that's what we need to practice, because it's the key
true.
to our kid. Well, it's helpful for us. It's extraordinarily helpful as modeling for our kids.
Yeah.
To say, because I remember actually something key happened with my mom, and I was in high school, and I was kind of awash from my Christian bookstore, and maybe our church a little bit, but mostly our Christian bookstore, in young earth creationism, and you can't believe anything that a biology textbook ever tells you, because they're all lying, because they want you to stop believing in God. And I just remember saying to my mom one day, and we'd moved to Wheaton from rural Iowa, been here a couple of years. Suddenly we're hanging around with Wheaton College faculty and Christianity Today reporters in our church. And so it was a very different environment. I just remember asking my mom, do we believe in evolution? And she just paused and looked at me and said, I'm not sure. And that was just like the best thing she could have said to me.
Yeah.
It wasn't a definitely, absolutely, I figured it out and you have to accept this. And it wasn't a, how could you even ask that question? Let's open our Schofield reference Bibles and let's turn to Ken Ham and Answers in Genesis. It was, I'm not sure about that question. That's a tricky question. And that kind of gave me the freedom to go on my own little quest. Like, okay, I'm going to do some reading about that. Do any Christians believe in evolution? And if so, why? Mm-hmm. What are the arguments for? What are the arguments against? And that led me to writing a paper about it in Bible college. Like, how do you interpret Genesis 1? I was just fascinated, but I also felt like I had the freedom to consider, both sides of the argument, because it was modeled by my mom, who said, no, I don't really know about that. And we don't do that enough, because we correlate uncertainty with unfaithfulness. And that's really not helpful.
Between cultural tidbits, Phil, you're quite insightful.
Was that a compliment or an insult of my tidbits?
Well, so
Philbits.
I'm going to move.
Philbits.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. What's the next question that you didn't give me in advance? So I have no idea.
I've got a question for both of you.
Okay. Can I make one point?
No.
And then, well, I'm sitting here, Phil, as you're talking, and I'm thinking about how the entire enterprise in my subculture of the larger church, my American white subculture, the whole project is drenched in fear of hell, fear of God, fear of missing out, fear of being left behind. I mean, the whole being afraid of being wrong. And so, when you're talking about eschatology, that is an eschatology of fear, right? And what the biblical writers point us to is an eschatology of hope. And that is what fuels...
Yeah, but they were wrong because they didn't know how bad it was going to get in the 60s.
True. Well, man, you're right. You're right. When
If they had any idea while they were watching Nero sacrifice Christians...
Exactly. That's where I was going.
Bad it was going to be in the 1960s in America, they would have thought differently.
Yes. Man, if only they would have said something about us. So I just wanted to make that point to say because we're kind of slowly making our way through Revelation, and that's the whole point. But the book is intended to provide hope.
Spoilers.
And yet it's been hijacked in the evangelical fear complex,
Right. I tweeted once.
Whoa.
Because I was thinking about that. I don't know if you know that sometimes I tweet, and most of the time I regret it. Sometimes I tweet, most of the time I regret it.
Yeah.
But I listed every decade from 1920 to 2010 and listed the thing we were supposed to be afraid of in each decade.
Yep.
And one of the more common responses to that tweet from people in a more Southern fundamentalist tradition was, and they were right.
I've seen that. Yep.
Everything that we were told to be afraid of was accurate.
Right.
Okay.
And we would say, that's Bolshevik. Tim Stafford. You get this is the final question.
Well, I don't even know if it's relevant anymore. I was just going to ask, why do you think? Let's presuppose that Jesus is who he said he is.
Fair.
I'm willing to make.
If everyone's
that
on the
concession.
same page, why does it look like Christianity is why is it so dramatically splintered throughout all of history, whereas other religions are not as much? What is it? Why are we so you just listed just the last 100 years, but we look back at the last 2000.
Yeah. Partly because it was so successful. I mean, what Constantine did, in a certain extent, all Constantine did was say, this religion is no longer illegal. Which was nice. Thanks, Constantine. That's kind of nice. We appreciate that. What his successors did was saying, not only is this religion, this belief system no longer illegal, it is now official. Yeah. And once you make a belief system official, you make it a target of people who want power. I will adopt that belief system because it is a pathway to power. And so now I think you are inherently in a compromised circumstance. I think the best way to keep a belief system pure is to keep it extraordinarily unpopular. And if you look at Western history, the history of the world, Christianity really caught on.
Yeah.
Really caught on. And it also inspired, you can look at how Christianity influenced the Enlightenment, and part of its influence was to say people should be allowed to think for themselves, particularly the Reformation. People should be allowed to think for themselves. Okay, you want one denomination forever in your church? That's a terrible position to take, that people can read this book for themselves and draw their own conclusions if you don't want splintering. So, so Catholicism has been able to sustain cohesive thought much better than Protestantism because it's a top-down teaching structure. But Protestantism spread and evolved and affected policy and affected culture and affected human rights, because people could look at the teaching of Jesus and draw different conclusions. And there was no hierarchical authority structure to tell them they couldn't or to burn them at the stake for doing so. So then you end up with, I'm reading Jesus a slightly different way, and I think my way is incompatible with your way, so I think I need to start a whole new thing about my way to read Jesus. It'd be nice to know if Jesus was here today and just wandered around the landscape of Christianity, where would he go? Awesome, love it, and where would he be going? Oy vey, ay, ay, ay. And I think we all assume that he would come to our corner of the park and say, awesome, keep up the good work, guys.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure we would all get some forehead slaps.
Totally.
Pretty sure.
Well, Phil, see, the reason
Nick?
we didn't give you the questions, first of all, is because you don't need them. You are a well of wisdom and knowledge.
Don't. I'm shaking my head for those of you that are just listening.
Secondly,
Stop
we
it,
love
Nick
the
Cage.
work that your Holy Post and you are doing in the world. And so,
I wanted to
love
call it
showing
Holy
that.
Toast. Did I ever tell you I wanted to call it Holy Toast?
yeah, put some butter
We
on
almost named this the
Yeah,
holier
yeah.
post.
it. Yeah. Or
good.
Holy Most, we considered.
That's good. I actually did a little logo of a little piece of toast with glory rays coming out from it.
On.
Yeah, I did. I thought this could be fun. And there's something, I don't know, Sky, I think he wants to be just taken a little bit seriously.
I know. It's so unfortunate.
I know.
Well,
It
speaking
really-
of taken seriously, Tim Stafford wanted to be called the Holy Host. And
Yeah.
that was awful.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's
Okay.
all right. When I roll downhill, it's the Holy Coast.
That's fantastic. If Tim could get like those little strings of battery-powered LED lights and then and put them in his beanie, so his
Yeah.
beanie just kind of glowed
I like this idea.
Yes.
a little, that would work.
It could be the Holy Boast.
It could,
I'm here all day. I'm here all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yep.
So, what do you think? What do you think the church looks like in 20 years? Or am I not allowed to ask?
Dude,
Smaller? Would you? Okay. In the American church, you assume smaller.
Oh, I hope smaller.
Oh. Okay.
I hope
Well,
smaller. I think my personal opinion is we'll lose tax advantages, and that will do a wonderful reprioritizing for
Do
the
you
evangelical
think?
complex.
Do you think in 20 years, the three of us, Tim, Nicolas Cage, and Phil, will all be in prison because we refused to bake a pink cake with blue frosting?
I don't bake cakes, so no. No.
That's exactly what I'm going to tell the judge. I don't even bake cakes.
Yeah.
How could I bake?
How could I have baked such a
could I?
cake?
Yeah.
So in 20 years, we'll all be in our 50s, which is amazing. And so we'll be old and kind of looking back at it, hopefully
Okay.
just blessing the kids.
Caitlin won't even be in her 50s in 20 years.
Oh,
just,
Caitlin.
just kind of Dallas Willarding our way off stage. Hey, don't
Yeah.
you love me now?
Oh.
You didn't even notice me till I turned 60, but don't
I
you love
know.
me now?
What? That guy. Jeez, oh, Pete.
Yeah.
Phil, thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
You're the best.
Thanks. It's fun to just get to ramble sometimes because I have no idea what's going to come out, but it's always fascinating. And, it doesn't, I guess I do get to ramble a lot, but not that much.
No. And we went, so we interrupted you just to make you feel at home. Because we often choose what's familiar over what's healthy. And then secondly, which is why you're on Twitter. And then secondly, you actually have great stuff to say. So we love you, Phil.
Thanks.
Thanks for your time.
Okay. Thanks. Happy 400th.
Yeah.
Foxology. I've been listening to you since I think episode -50.
Wow.
So even before you started,
Before we were a Gleam.
I would just show up and just listen for an hour and hope that something would happen.
Yeah.
And it took a year, but then it popped up, and I'm
Yeah.
so happy.
And it still feels that way. Totally.
My faith was rewarded.
Well,
My faith, like Abraham, my faith was rewarded. Waiting for Mike and Tim.
the
to come.
podcast of promise.
The, the podcast messiahs.
Yes.
Multiple messiahs. Yeah. So anyway, congratulations. You're doing a
Oh.
great job. I mean, maybe you're not as popular as some other Christian podcasts.
Oh,
that I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, who can compete with Sadie Robertson? But, whatever.
Oh, is she a duck person?
Yeah.
Is she
Yeah,
one of the
she's
duck people?
Yeah. She's ahead of both of
Oh.
us in the
Is she?
podcast, in the Christian podcast
Oh.
world. She's one of the top 5
What's a
Christian
duck
podcasts.
person?
Duck Dynasty. She's in the Duck Dynasty
Yeah, that's
clan.
what I meant. The Fatal Hall.
The Fatal.
Yeah. Yeah. The Fatal Hall clan.
That's the Salmon Dynasty
Yeah.
clan.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. We should probably stop talking now.
Never.
Maybe.
Bye, Phil. Thank you.
Maybe. Okay. See ya.
Thank you for listening to this conversation. Voxology is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that is supported by listeners just like yourself. If you'd like to partner with us, you can do so at patreon.com/Voxology. You can also join the community and hang out and chat with us on the socials. Facebook.com/Voxology Podcast and on Instagram @Voxology. Thank you for walking the long road with us.